Welcome to another deep dive into the world where healthcare and high tech kind of collide.
Yeah.
With a big dose of security.
Yeah.
Today we're going behind the scenes at UC Health.
Okay.
Big healthcare system.
Right here in Cincinnati.
Right here in Cincinnati, we're going way beyond, just the waiting room and figuring out how this place actually works.
Yeah, it's a really interesting ecosystem. I mean, we're talking about, how a place like this is structured, the planning that they do, and how they use technology to actually, deliver healthcare in this digital age.
Right.
And of course, you can't forget about how they keep all of your data safe.
Yeah, and that's super important.
In a world where, cybersecurity is paramount. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's unpack all of this. We've got a bunch of different sources we're looking at for this deep dive.
Okay.
We've got excerpts from an academic paper that goes really deep into, how UC Health works.
Yeah.
Plus, we've got some press releases about their leadership team. Think of this like a backstage pass to this, really complex organization.
One of the most interesting things I think about UC Health is that it's so closely linked with the University of Cincinnati.
Right.
Having that connection to, a major research university really impacts their approach to, everything.
Yeah. It's not just your average hospital system.
No.
Plus, they're a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So that adds like another
layer to it.
Yeah, another layer of complexity to this whole thing.
And what's interesting too is that they've got like 6 core values that they really try to include in everything they do. Putting people first, showing respect, acting with integrity, embracing inclusion, seeking discovery, offering empathy.
That's a lot.
It's a mouthful, yeah, but
no, it's not just something they say.
These values actually directly relate to their purpose, which is, advancing healing and reducing suffering. Yeah, that makes sense. And that's reflected in how they're structured as an organization, their strategic plan, and even in how they implement their technology.
Well, let's talk about structure. Let's meet some of the people at the top of this organization. Of course, you've got the CEO, CFO, COO, the usual, suspects.
In any large organization.
Right, in any large organization.
Big.
But then, things start to get kind of interesting. Yeah. Because they also have a CAO, a Chief Administrative Officer, a CMO, the Chief Medical Officer, right, and of course a CDO, Chief Digital Officer.
Of course.
And get this, they also have a CPO, a Chief Privacy Officer, and a CHDO.
A CHDO?
Yeah, a CHDO. Chief Health Digital Officer.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't, no.
I hadn't either.
That's interesting. It really shows just how important this digital transformation in healthcare is to them. It makes you wonder, what does a CHDO even do?
That's what we're going to find out for today's deep dive. The CDO, the CPO, and the CHDO. Okay. Those are our VIPs. They're like the digital dream team.
Yeah, like a digital trio.
Yeah, a digital trio.
Steering the ship.
Yeah, steering the ship.
Yeah.
Each one responsible for a really critical piece of the puzzle.
Right.
UC Health's technology strategy, their patient data security, and then navigating all those crazy healthcare regulations.
They're ever-changing,
Ever-changing.
Constantly.
So let's start with the CDO.
Okay.
The Chief Digital Officer. I kind of think of this person as the architect of UC Health's digital world.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are spearheading this whole digital transformation thing.
Yeah.
Which basically means finding ways to use technology to make everything at UC Health better, faster, more efficient.
Well, I mean, it's not just about getting the latest gadgets. The CDO also is responsible for setting the IT strategy and governance for the entire system. So making sure that all that technology is used effectively, but also securely. Right. They're also the champion for data and digital asset protection, Think about all those scary cyber attacks and data breaches we hear about.
In the news.
All the time. But also even just the everyday security measures to keep things running smoothly.
So they're playing offense and defense at the same time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Trying to stay ahead of the bad guys.
Yeah.
While keeping everything up and running.
Exactly. And if there is a breach, they're the ones who lead the efforts to, contain the damage, figure out what went wrong, and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Wow. High pressure job.
Definitely.
They're basically responsible for the whole digital nervous system of UC Health.
It's a huge responsibility. And here's the kicker. they also have to be like a risk management expert, constantly thinking about things that could go wrong, potential vulnerabilities in all these digital initiatives, and figuring out how to like fix them before they become big problems.
Yeah. So that means they're also responsible for things like...
Well, they're also the integration specialists. So like making sure that shiny new technologies actually work with the systems that UC Health already has in place, and, not creating like new security holes.
So we're talking about things like, electronic health records.
Right. EHRs.
Those systems that doctors use to see patient information.
Yeah.
Medical imaging systems.
Right.
PAS-CS, the things that store and display. CT scans, all that.
Yeah.
Integrating all that securely, I mean, it's not easy.
Right.
Especially in a place as big and complex as UC Health.
Yeah, it sounds like the CDO needs to have a pretty diverse skill set.
I would say so, yeah.
They need to be a tech whiz, a strategist, a leader, a security expert. You could say that, yeah. It's a demanding role, but it's also hugely impactful because they're the ones who are like really shaping the future of how UC Health delivers healthcare. But let's not forget about another really important player, the CPO, the Chief Privacy Officer.
Right, the guardian of all that sensitive data.
Yeah.
They're the ones making sure all that personal health information is locked down.
24/7, 24/7.
Yeah, you could think of the CPO as the person who makes sure UC Health is following all those like complex regulations.
Right.
IPA, they eat, sleep, and breathe compliance, making sure that everyone in the organization knows how to handle patient data responsibly according to all the rules. They're also the ones who write all the policies that govern how data is used, shared, and protected.
So they're the rule makers and the rule enforcers.
Pretty much, yeah.
When it comes to patient privacy.
Yeah, and it goes beyond that. The CPO is also deeply involved with risk management.
Thinking about those what-if situations, putting strategies in place to like address those potential privacy risks before they, actually become problems.
And what happens if there is a breach? Like someone hacks into the system and gets patient data.
Yeah. Well, in that unfortunate scenario, the CPO would be the one leading like the incident response, making sure that everything's handled correctly, patients are informed, and that all the appropriate steps are taken to, fix the damage and stop it from happening again.
So I'm starting to see now how these CDO and CPO roles really work together. They're both focused on protecting data, but kind of from different angles.
Yeah.
The CDO is more focused on like the technical side of security, and the CPO is really laser focused on privacy and making sure that UC Health is following all the rules.
They're two sides of the same coin, and their work is like so important to making sure that data is confidential and secure in this world where everything is digital.
So this brings us to the last member of our digital trio, which is the CHDO, the Chief Health Digital Officer.
Yeah.
This role was really interesting to me because I was like, what is that?
Yeah, it's a relatively new one.
Yeah.
The CHDO is in charge of like creating that big picture digital vision for UC Health.
Okay.
Figuring out how they can use technology to really support their mission of healing and reducing suffering. So we're talking about big picture stuff here, not just, looking at specific technologies, but like how all of these things work together to make this effective digital ecosystem.
So the CHDO is like the conductor of the digital orchestra.
That's a great analogy.
At UC Health.
Yeah.
Making sure that everyone's
playing in sync. Yeah. And they're also like the data maestro, overseeing how all this information is managed, integrated, and governed across the whole system. And that includes, of course, making sure the data is accurate, that the right people have access to it.
Right.
And, of course, that it's secure.
So that also means that they're thinking about, how to use data to improve patient care and patient outcomes.
Exactly. Like using data analytics to, personalize treatments, to maybe predict potential health issues before they even happen. And let's not forget about the role of data in medical research. The CHDO is probably working really closely with UC's research arm to think about how data can be used to develop new treatments and therapies.
So the CHDO is kind of like this bridge between like the technical world of the CDO
right.
and the patient-centric world of the CPO.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thinking about how to use all this technology to achieve UC Health's goals while still making sure that patient privacy and data security are the top priorities.
Yeah. They're balancing innovation with responsibility. Yeah.
Right.
So we've talked a lot about like the people at the top, but what about the big picture plan?
Right.
What about UC Health's overall strategy? How does all this digital transformation stuff fit into that?
Well, their mission, as we've talked about, is to advance healing and reduce suffering.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty noble goal.
Yeah.
But their vision is even bigger than that. They want to be the best, the premier academic healthcare system.
Oh. Shooting for the top spot.
Yeah.
Okay. But how are they going to do that? What are they actually doing?
So their strategic plan really focuses on like two main priorities. First, groundbreaking medical research. We just talked about that.
Right.
And second, using technology to support and enhance that research. They know that digital tools are like absolutely essential to like push the boundaries of medical knowledge and to ultimately improve patient care.
Okay. And how are they going to know that they're succeeding?
Yeah, so that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
They've identified some key like benchmarks for success. And you'll notice a theme here. Risk management.
Okay.
And cyber threat resilience.
So they don't want you to just be innovative.
Right.
They also want to be the safest.
Exactly. They know that when you start using all this digital stuff, it inherently comes with risk.
Right.
And they're committed to mitigating those risks proactively, not just waiting for something bad to happen.
Right.
They're trying to get ahead of it.
So they're building like a digital fortress.
Pretty much, yeah.
Around patient information.
Which makes sense, right? I mean, you don't want your most sensitive information just like floating around in cyberspace, vulnerable to hackers and, data thieves.
Definitely not. But all this talk about cyber threats and data breaches is making me a little nervous.
Yeah.
Like, are we really safe?
Right.
When it comes to, our health information in this digital world?
That's a great question, and it's one that we're going to explore further in the next part of this deep dive.
Okay.
We'll look at the specific challenges that UC Health faces when it comes to data security, the strategies they've used, and what they've learned along the way.
I can't wait to hear more about that. But we've covered a lot of ground already in this first part of our deep dive.
Definitely.
We've explored, how UC Health is organized. We've met the digital trio that's leading the charge.
Right.
And we've gotten a glimpse into their ambitious strategic plan.
And we've just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
In the next part, we'll go even deeper, looking at how UC Health is putting its digital vision into action.
Okay.
And how they're navigating this complex world of cybersecurity.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive into UC Health.
So we've been mapping out their digital, landscape.
Yeah.
So focusing on that digital trio at the top, the CDO, CPO, and CHDO.
Right. And, it's pretty clear that they're not just, dipping their toes into this digital world.
Right.
They're diving in head first with this digital transformation thing.
Yeah, and they're really serious about, keeping that patient data safe.
Absolutely. So let's shift gears a little bit and take a closer look at some of the, the real world challenges and opportunities that this digital trio faces every day.
All right, so let's go back to the CDO, the Chief Digital Officer.
Okay.
Remember we were talking about how they're like the architect of UC Health's digital world?
Yeah.
What kind of things are actually on their plate? Like, what are they doing?
Okay, so imagine you're the CDO for a second.
Okay.
You're responsible for every single digital thing.
Wow.
At a huge healthcare system like UC Health. So we're talking electronic health records, telemedicine platforms, mobile apps for patients. I mean, the whole shebang.
Yeah. And making sure it's all safe from, hackers and cyber attacks.
Right. Yeah, that cybersecurity piece has got to be huge.
Yeah.
The CDO needs to make sure that all these systems are talking to each other.
Right.
But that they're doing it seamlessly and securely. They're always looking at new technologies, assessing risks, implementing safeguards to protect all that sensitive data.
It's like they're building a digital highway system.
Yeah.
But with much, much higher stakes.
Right.
If something goes wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine a traffic jam on a digital highway. That could have really bad consequences for patients.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then to add even more to their plate, The CDO also has to keep up with all these
Right.
constantly changing regulations. High PA compliance is just the tip of the iceberg.
So speaking of compliance,
Right.
let's go to the CPO, the Chief Privacy Officer.
Okay.
What kind of challenges do they face?
So the CPO is kind of always walking this tightrope. On the one hand, they have to make absolutely sure that patient privacy is protected. But on the other hand, they need to make sure that data can be used responsibly for things like research and innovation.
Yeah, it's
It's a balancing act.
balancing act.
The CPO has to be like a master of data governance,
Right.
developing and enforcing policies that,
Yeah.
help UC Health do what they need to do,
Right.
but also safeguarding patient privacy. And they're the one that everyone goes to when those, unfortunate data breaches happen,
Right.
which sadly are becoming more and more common.
Yeah. You hear about it all the time.
Yeah, in the healthcare industry.
Yeah, yeah. So I can definitely see why they call it a chief position.
Yeah.
Sounds really demanding.
Yeah, they need to have like a deep understanding of the technical stuff,
Yeah.
but also the legal stuff
Right.
when it comes to data privacy.
Okay, so then we've got the CHDO, the Chief Health Digital Officer,
Yeah.
who's setting like the overall
Right.
digital direction for
Right.
UC Health.
Yeah.
So they're like the big picture thinker, the
Yeah.
one with the roadmap.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
The CHDO is always looking at how technology can be used to like further UC Health's mission of healing and reducing suffering.
Right.
They're looking at cutting edge stuff like artificial intelligence, machine learning,
Right.
personalized medicine, trying to figure out how all these advancements can be used
Yeah.
to make patient care better and to get better outcomes.
So they're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible in healthcare.
You could say that, yeah. It's an exciting role, but they also have to think about,
Right.
the ethical side of things.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Making sure that these new technologies are used responsibly and don't
Right.
end up having unintended consequences.
Right. We don't want to end up in like a sci-fi movie where the robots are running healthcare. Exactly. Yeah. The CHDO needs to make sure that technology is used for good
Right.
and that it ultimately benefits patients and UC Health's mission.
So it seems like all three of these roles, the CDO, CPO, CHDO,
Yeah.
are becoming more and more important
Yeah, for sure.
as healthcare relies more and more on technology.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. These are the leaders who are shaping the future of healthcare. And the decisions they make today are going to have a big impact
Right.
on patients' lives
Yeah.
for years to come.
So it's a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
but it also sounds kind of rewarding.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
To be like at the forefront of healthcare innovation.
Yeah.
To know that your work is helping to save lives
Right.
and improve people's health,
Yeah.
that's got to be a powerful motivator.
Speaking of motivation, we talked before about some of those elements of UC Health's strategic plan.
Right.
You mentioned they're really emphasizing, risk management and cyber threat resilience.
Right.
What does that actually look like
Yeah.
in practice?
So it's a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah. But the most important thing is building a culture of security awareness
Okay.
throughout the whole organization.
Okay, so it's not just the digital trio
Right.
that's responsible for security.
Exactly. Everyone from the CEO to the nurses to the administrative staff,
Yeah.
they all need to understand how important it is to protect data
Yeah.
and to be on the lookout for threats.
So it's like a team effort.
It's all hands on deck.
Okay.
Security is everyone's job, but the digital trio are the ones who set the tone. They develop the policies. They make sure that everyone gets the training they need.
Okay. So what are some other things that they're doing to like mitigate those risks?
Well, they're investing a lot
Yeah.
in new security technologies,
Mhm.
like intrusion detection systems.
Oh.
That's like a digital alarm system.
Okay.
And data encryption, which
Yeah.
basically scrambles sensitive information to make it unreadable to anyone who's not supposed to see it. They also do regular risk assessments, kind of like, a security audit
Okay.
to see where they might be vulnerable and to come up with ways to fix those problems
Right.
before someone can exploit them.
So they're being proactive.
Yeah, they have to be. I mean,
Yeah.
the healthcare industry is a big target for cyber criminals,
Yeah.
and the stakes are incredibly high. We're talking about
Right.
people's lives and well-being here.
It is kind of scary to think about. I mean, you're talking about identity theft,
Yeah.
potential discrimination based on your health records,
Yeah,
even the possibility of blackmail.
exactly. So it's a huge responsibility for healthcare providers to keep this information safe.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get harder as healthcare becomes more and more digital.
So are there other concerns that we should be thinking about?
Yeah. So another big one is, the digital divide. Not everyone has equal access to technology or the skills to use it.
Right.
And that could create disparities in healthcare.
Right. So some people might fall behind.
Exactly. So while digital healthcare has the potential to make healthcare more accessible, it could also unintentionally make those inequalities even worse.
So it seems like there's a lot to think about as we're going through this,
Absolutely. I mean, this is uncharted territory in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to have these conversations about the good stuff and the bad stuff when it comes to digital healthcare. We need everyone involved in these conversations, patients, providers, policymakers, tech developers, everyone, to make sure that we're shaping the future of healthcare in a way that's responsible and equitable.
I think this whole deep dive has given me a lot to think about. It's clear that we're at a turning point in healthcare.
Yeah.
And the decisions we make right now are going to be really important.
Yeah, well said. As we go into this new world of digital healthcare, let's all try to stay informed, ask questions, and push for a healthcare system that's both innovative and fair.
Well, it's time for us to sign off. But the conversation doesn't have to end here.
Right.
Share your thoughts, your questions in the comments.
Yeah.
Let's keep talking about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until next time, stay curious. Keep exploring.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've spent this whole episode really digging into the inner workings of UC Health.
Right.
Especially how they're dealing with all the, the challenges and the opportunities that come with digital transformation in healthcare.
Yeah, it's a big topic.
Yeah. So we've taken a look at how they're organized. We've met that digital trio that's leading this whole thing.
Right.
And we've, kind of peeked at their strategic plan, their focus on, risk management and cybersecurity and all that. It's been a really interesting look behind the scenes. But now it's time to zoom out a little bit and think about the bigger picture.
Okay.
So how is this whole digital revolution changing healthcare as a whole?
Right.
Is UC Health just a one-off, or are they kind of a sign of what's to come?
Yeah. Well, what's fascinating is that UC Health is kind of like a microcosm of what's happening in healthcare systems all over the country and all over the world, really. They're not an outlier. They're more like a trendsetter.
So what they're doing is actually representative of bigger trends in the whole industry.
Absolutely. We're in the middle of this huge shift towards digital healthcare. And it's driven by a lot of things. Technology is changing so fast.
Right.
Patients want more convenient, personalized care. And there's always pressure to make healthcare more efficient and affordable.
Right.
And all of these things are pushing healthcare into the digital world.
Yeah, it makes sense. I feel like every time I go to the doctor these days, there's some new gadget or app they want me to use. It's kind of overwhelming sometimes.
Right. I mean, that's just the reality of healthcare today, and it's just going to keep going in the next few years. I mean, we're already seeing things like virtual doctor's appointments, remote patient monitoring with wearables, even AI-powered diagnostic tools.
Okay.
And that's just the beginning.
Wow. So besides, maybe not having to sit in a crowded waiting room for an hour, what are some of the the benefits?
Yeah. What are the good things?
This digital transformation in healthcare.
Well, I mean, for one thing, digital healthcare could make healthcare more accessible to more people. People in rural areas, people who have trouble getting around. Imagine being able to talk to your doctor from home.
Right.
Or having your vital signs monitored without having to go to the clinic all the time.
That would be a big deal for some people.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of my grandparents, they live out in the country.
Right.
They have to drive over an hour to see their doctor. So telemedicine could really...
Yeah, it could really change things for them. And don't forget about the potential to actually improve the quality of care.
Okay.
With electronic health records, doctors can see a patient's entire medical history no matter where they've been treated. So they can make better decisions. They can avoid dangerous drug interactions or ordering the same test twice.
It's like having all your information in one place.
And it's secure. It's easy to access.
Yeah. I've heard a lot about personalized medicine.
Yeah.
How does that fit into all of this?
So personalized medicine is one of the most exciting areas of digital healthcare because now we have access to so much data, and we have AI, and we can actually start to tailor treatments to a person's genes, their lifestyle, their environment. So it's moving away from this one-size-fits-all approach.
So digital healthcare could be a win-win.
Yeah.
More convenient.
For patients.
And personalized care for patients. More efficient.
More data-driven.
More data-driven.
Same practices for providers.
Yeah, it sounds like it has a ton of potential to really change things for the better.
Yeah, but we also have to be realistic.
Okay.
You know, there are challenges, there are risks.
Right.
That we need to talk about.
Yeah. What are some of the potential, downsides?
Well, one of the biggest things, as we've talked about all episode, is data security.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Healthcare data is really valuable, so it's a big target for cyber criminals. And a data breach can be devastating for patients.
Yeah, we're talking about way more than just financial loss here.
Yeah, identity theft, discrimination, even blackmail.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
It is, yeah.
To think about.
So healthcare providers have a huge responsibility to protect this information, and it's only going to get harder as things become more digital.
Yeah, are there other concerns?
Yeah. Another one is the digital divide.
Oh,
not everyone can afford technology. Not everyone knows how to use it. And that could create problems when it comes to getting care. So digital healthcare could make things more accessible.
For some people.
Yeah.
But it could also make inequality worse.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about.
Yeah, there is. It's kind of uncharted territory in a lot of ways. And that's why it's so important to have these conversations, to talk about the good stuff and the bad stuff. And we need to include everyone in these discussions. Yeah. Patients, providers, policymakers, people who make the technology. We all need to work together to make sure that we're building a future for healthcare.
Yeah.
That's good for everyone.
This deep dive has really given me a lot to think about. It seems like we're at this really important moment in healthcare. And the choices we make now are going to be felt for a long time.
Well said. As we move into this new digital world of healthcare, let's all stay informed, ask good questions, and demand a healthcare system that puts innovation and fairness first.
Yeah, well, it's time for us to sign off. But like you said, the conversation doesn't have to end here.
No, absolutely not.
So share your thoughts.
Yeah.
Share your questions in the comments.
Yeah, let's keep this going.
Let's keep this conversation going. Until next time.
Right.
Stay curious.
Stay curious.
Keep exploring.